Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. Thank you again for joining me today. Today, I want to dive into some philosophies, pagan philosophies that tainted Christianity. You know, their ideas trickled in over the centuries, and what today modern Christianity is almost like a synchronism, which is the blending of different religions. You know, the ideas and concepts and things like that into religion. So I want to explain and read just a little bit about these whose philosophies or what philosophies these wars that crept in to the early church. And it was going on when the apostles were alive, and towards the end of the first century, the apostles were alive, and certain people, men, and philosophies were creeping into the assembly, and corrupting it, the ideas, and trying to draw people away from the true faith. And you could read that in scriptures too, especially like, John talks about it, Paul talks about it, of course. But anyways, I'm going to give you a little rundown here. I'm not going to include the Gnostics because I did that in a previous video, talked about them. And when it comes to Judaism, they're not actually, pagan. They're more of a traditionalist, even though, early on, centuries before, paganism kind of crept into the faith, during the captivity in Babylon, and when then they brought back, they brought some back, the pagan ideas back, blended in with their ideas. But I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to talk about these right here, and I'm going to make it short and sweet. And just want, you could look this up and look up these people or these movements or anything yourself, anywhere online. You could find them anywhere, and books, if you still got old history books or encyclopedias or anything around. First, I'm going to go with philosophy that had a major impact and what I said tainted Christianity, and that comes from Socrates, the pagan philosopher. Everybody knows that name, of course. It says right here in this little, I'm just going to say read a little thing I wrote down. Taught that man, not the world, is the prime object of thought. Morals, therefore, are all important. Socrates was obsessed with the soul and believed in pantheism, which means believes in many gods. He taught that virtue is right action based on knowledge. Therefore, virtue consists of knowledge and intellectual insight. Goodness as man is based on wisdom. Wickedness is based on ignorance. And ignorance doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you're not informed of something. If you're not informed about something and you try to talk about and think you know what you're talking about, you'd be proved ignorant. Anyways, the next person is Plato. And I'm sure some of you probably read some of his works and, remember his name brought up in schools. But here we go with Plato here. Plato says here, material objects or passing forms give no real knowledge. Ideas are what is permanent, those changeless patterns found in the invisible spiritual world, which are perceived by reason only. The soul in its previous existence perceived them. The visible world calls to remembrance those once known ideas. The soul, which is immortal, get that, is not affected by the decay of the body. It is a realm of ideas that exist side by side with the deity. Virtue is to be godlike according to one's ability. The highest good results from intellect, but only the gifted can obtain it. Special people. Thus, the contemplative spirit of the philosopher alone can obtain the absolute. So, right here in the last part here, he's probably speaking to himself, like, hey, I'm one of those guys. But you notice the mortality of the soul, how that crept into the church. You hear about some churches and faiths into Christianity are talking about the immortality of the soul. But of course, the Bible refutes that and goes against that. Next one is Aristotle. Aristotle, of course, you know him, or I'm pretty sure you've heard about him, but he rejected Plato's concept of ideas versus material objects. He believed both are required for understanding. He conceived matter to be eternal, and that changes which occur are the results of the prime mover. Man has within him the divine spark, the logos. The goal of morals should be the attainment of happiness through the golden rule. So you've heard of them phrases before, the prime mover, that people might have mentioned it, in a different circumstance or something, or remember the golden rule now, and that basically, those phrases does come from the Greek pagan Aristotle. Now here's another one right here. You've probably never heard of this one. It's called the Epicurean philosophy, and this came from a philosopher named Epicurus. Epicurean philosophy is labeled as a hedonistic system of ethics. Epicureanism taught that happiness is the end and aim in life. Pleasure and pain are the chief good and the chief evil. Emotional calm is the highest good. This can be obtained by virtue with prudence. Intellectual pleasure are superior to all others, and momentary pleasures should be renounced in favor of more permanent pleasures. Uncontrolled pursuits of pleasures involves more pain than good. To avoid pain, wise men reduce their desires. Temperance is the best rule of conduct. Just take for example, sexual pleasures. With them guys, they say it's just a very permanent pleasure, and it don't last, and it basically enslaves you. You got to go to a better, like a fulfillment, a better fulfillment, of happiness. Try to stay away from stressful situations, stressful people, bad weather, things like that. But yeah, that was a philosophy of them guys. And here's another philosophy. I think it was even mentioned in I think it's Book of Acts. Acts it was of Paul. And this is different from the Epicureans, but they do share a couple common denominators. And that's the Stoics, Stoicism, primarily an ethical system which taught that virtue is to be regarded as the supreme good, and the most important rule is to live according to nature. And a personal fate decides all. Therefore, emotions must be suppressed and reason must be dominant. Since reason is part of the indwelling logos, the highest duty is to follow reason, and this should be the sole object to pursuits. The enemies of reason are passions and lusts, which pervert judgment, according to the philosophy. And it kind of reminds you of, Dr. Spock in Star Trek. You don't go by emotions. The phrase he's stoic, that's what it comes from. People are stoic. They don't seem like they don't show any passions or emotions or anything. But anyways, the last one here I want to bring up is cynicism. Cynics went one step beyond the teachings of Socrates. The low esteem of outward good was carried to the extreme by a contempt and disdain for the ordinary comforts of life. Happiness is not possible if men's wants and desires are not fulfilled. Therefore, all ordinary comforts and desires should be renounced. Yeah, how will that go in a world today? We can't watch our favorite football game. We can't eat our favorite foods. Can't watch our favorite movies. Things like that. But anyways, them things are the ones that creeped into modern Christianity. That's what we got today. Some of it's from them guys that passed over. It's like when they trying to get converts, the best way to convert pagans was to actually incorporate some of their ideas into Christianity and make the transition easier. But, one philosopher, modern day writer and commentary guy said, Christianity did not destroy paganism, it adopted it. And that's true enough. It's so true indeed. But I just wanted to show you this and relate, this information to you to give you an understanding of why Christianity is the way it is today. If the apostles came back over here and they saw these blends of Christianity, they would be dumbfounded. They wouldn't know what to think. They'd be like, what are you guys doing? This ain't the way it is, this is a Sunday. What's Sunday? You don't do worship on a Sunday. You don't celebrate Easter. You don't do this and that. Ain't no immortality of the soul. What's a rapture? Rapture, the rapture, is only thought up, what, a couple hundred years ago. You know, it wasn't back when the Catholics, back like 1,000 years or so on back, there was no such thing. Nobody ever brought up anything about a rapture. That's only like a 200-year-old misconceived idea that popped up. That's back in what was it, 1800s or something like that. But anyways, I just wanted to share them with you, and I thank you again for joining me. And please give me a big thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and I appreciate if you subscribe and comment below. Let me know what you think. And as always, thank you again for joining me. Till we meet again, peace out and shalom.